Okay, so when you picture an ancient Buddhist monk from, say, 2.5 millennia ago, what exactly comes to mind? Probably someone sitting peacefully under a tree, completely detached from the worries of the world, right? Well, today we're going to challenge that popular image. Welcome to This Explainer, where we are unpacking a really fascinating text known as the 10 Recitations Vinaya. Because, as it turns out, far from just being a collection of abstract spiritual philosophies, this source material reveals a highly structured, absolutely rigorous 2,500-year-old legal code that governed literally every single aspect of ancient monastic life.
You know, it's really easy for us to hold on to this modernized, kind of romanticized view of Buddhist monasticism. But the everyday reality of these early, massive communities is that they absolutely required a serious justice system just to survive and thrive. I mean, you can't have thousands of people living together without rules. And as we'll see today, these weren't just gentle, polite guidelines. We are talking about a comprehensive, ironclad legal framework.
All right, let's dive right in. The entire source text is set up as this fascinating Socratic Q&A between a senior monk named Upali and the Buddha. And just listen to this highly specific, deeply legalistic question Upali asks about whether monks should discipline someone based on a laywoman's word. It sets a very distinct courtroom tone right out of the gate. We are essentially reading ancient case law here. So here is our agenda for exploring this ancient law book today. First, the legal system of ancient monastics. Second, accusations and due process. Third, possessions and non-attachment rules. Fourth, the baselines guiding daily behavior. Fifth, 7 ways to resolve disputes. And finally, number 6, the ultimate meaning behind the precepts.
Section 1. The legal system of ancient monastics. Like we said, this is way more than just a religious text.
This incredible document actually acted as the fundamental constitution for these ancient monastic communities. We are talking about a code that details absolutely everything. The sheer breadth of the rules here is just staggering. It covers the ancient equivalents of capital crimes, all the way down to the extreme micromanagement of daily etiquette, like exactly how you're supposed to properly wash a bowl.
Section 2. Accusations and due process. They called these the undetermined offenses.
Check out the exact procedural order of this ancient court. First, the community formally hears the laywoman's accusation. Second, the judges, who in this case were the senior monks, immediately ask if there's a second witness. Third, they verify if the testimonies actually match up. And only then, in step 4, do they interrogate the accused monk. This is literally the ancient equivalent of due process. They were carefully verifying evidence before passing any kind of judgment.
What's totally fascinating to me here is the pragmatic legal logic the text lays out. So let's say one witness claims the monk committed the crime while standing, and the second witness insists he did it while sitting. Well, because those testimonies differ, the court cannot proceed on witness evidence alone. They have to shift gears, interrogate the accused monk directly, and proceed based solely on his own confession. That is a remarkably rigorous standard for evidence.
Moving on to Section 3. Possessions and non-attachment rules, specifically the 30 rules of forfeiture.
To really grasp this, we've got to define a specific legal category, naisargika, or forfeiture. Essentially, this is an offense that requires the surrender of improper or excessive material possessions, which then has to be followed by a formal confession. This just goes to show the incredible weight these ancient communities placed on property crimes. Keeping too much stuff wasn't just frowned upon. It required immediate, formal legal restitution.
I mean, the text gets surprisingly specific about what a monk was actually allowed to own. You have proper materials, which were standard, pure fabrics for robes, but then notice the banned materials explicitly listed: camel hair, cow hair, goat hair, or mixed weaves. If a monk used these impure animal hairs for, say, a sleeping mat or a robe, no excuses. It resulted in a direct legal violation requiring forfeiture.
And get this, the rules didn't just govern what you could own, but exactly how long you could keep it. 10. That is the exact number of days a monk could legally hold on to an extra long robe or an extra begging bowl. If day 11 rolled around and the monk hadn't given it away or properly registered it, bam, it legally crossed the line into an offense requiring forfeiture.
Section 4. The baselines guiding daily behavior. These are known as the rules of expiation.
Okay, here we encounter another legal term, pekatika, or expiation. You can basically think of these as the ancient equivalents of modern misdemeanors. So while these aren't capital crimes that would get a monk permanently expelled, they were incredibly strict rules that required a public confession to restore a person's pure standing in the community. They form the absolute, non-negotiable baseline of ethical daily behavior.
There's just an astonishing variety of rules, categorizing every single aspect of daily life. Under speech, we see things like lying and slander. Under environment, there are strict laws against digging into unbroken ground or killing plants or water bugs. The food laws completely forbade eating past noon or begging for delicacies like butter or honey unless you were sick. And social rules even govern how and when a monk could teach women. Every tiny aspect of a monk's day was tightly, legally structured.
Honestly, some of the highly specific misdemeanors they explicitly outlawed are pretty surprising and kind of hilarious. Like, you couldn't pretend to be a deity, a dragon, or an animal. You couldn't hide another monk's bowl or needle case just as a practical joke. You couldn't make a bed with legs taller than 8 fingers. You couldn't even intentionally eavesdrop on other monks who were arguing. It really brings the ancient daily reality of communal living to life, doesn't it?
Which brings us to Section 5, 7 ways to resolve disputes, or basically closing the case. So, you gotta wonder, when a dispute just dragged on, how did this ancient monastic court finally wrap things up? Because, let's face it, ideal resolutions aren't always possible in real life. Well, the source text reveals a highly pragmatic, realistic approach to ending endless litigation. The text literally provides a sort of statute of limitations for these ancient courts. A case is officially closed if the accused passes away before the verdict, or if they just claim to be a layperson and leave the order altogether. But remarkably, the case is also dismissed if the accused suffers a long illness, or if they just travel to a faraway country and don't come back. This system placed a massive premium on community peace. To them, it was way better to officially close a deadlocked case than to let it poison the community forever.
And finally, Section 6, the ultimate meaning behind precepts, going beyond punishment to pure detachment.
There's this really profound exception outlined right there in the legal code. It says, if a monk diligently reads sutras, cultivates merit, or travels far, the dispute is extinguished. This absolutely proves that genuine spiritual practice, or actively removing yourself from the source of the friction, legally resolved the issue. So it wasn't just about punishment at all. It was about actual transformation. So, the crucial takeaway from this whole explainer is this. The Vinaya was never designed merely to punish. It was engineered from the ground up as a massive practical tool to enforce absolute non-attachment. Every single rule, whether it was about the maximum days you could keep a bowl, the exact height of your bed legs, or what kind of animal hair was in your rug, it was all purposefully designed to sever worldly attachments, protecting both the individual's mind and the overall harmony of the community.
It really leaves us with a powerful thought to consider. When you look at this 2,500-year-old law book, do our modern legal systems aim for a similar balance of communal order and deep personal transformation? Or, in our modern pursuit of pure punishment, have we perhaps lost the spiritual core of justice? Thank you so much for exploring this incredible text with me today. Hopefully, you're walking away with a totally new understanding of ancient monastic life.